Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple hours, along with Nick.
I would like to say I am now proudly General Nick after about 9 weeks of the FCC updating my database. General Nick at your service.
Yep.
Good morning.
Sub-Commander General.
And Spence is here.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Gal is here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, DudeInIT.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Yeah, for those of you that don't understand what Nick is talking about, how can somebody that young be a general? He's talking about ham radio.
Well, I identify as much older.
Yes.
I identify as a 45-year-old, and I identify as a general in the military. And they
you
can't.
identify as somebody with a
Stolen
lot of money.
valor.
Yeah, oh, it's not stolen valor. I identify as it. Yeah, see, actually, there's no such thing as stolen valor anymore. You can't be stolen valor if you can identify as anything you want. So, I mean, I'm good. I'm gonna start identifying as I'm gonna start identifying as a cop and pulling people over, and then when they arrest me, I'll say, "Hey, I was just identifying," and then I'll sue them. I'll get the ADL on my side. I'm sure they'd love me.
I identify as the Attorney General of the United States. You can't arrest me.
How you doing, Spence?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Excellent.
Feeling much better. Yeah, my adventure lying flat on my driveway with a conked head. No fun. Black ice. I slipped.
It was all that to run out to the mailbox to get the paper to get the specials ready. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all Amnon's fault.
That's it. All I could think about was lay there. Specials.
I need a
Right.
brother MFP.
When I was in an emergency room, I was telling him, "Can I get to a computer, please? I need to check the specials."
Sir, what is your dying wish? The Staples ad from
Yes.
March.
Oh, there's a
24th.
great deal on an
Well,
AMD processor.
Well, let me tell you, not everybody was happy with the fact that you didn't have special.
Why?
Oh,
And
What happened?
and yeah, no, I'm talking about the vendors. And
Oh.
you killed fries.
killed him?
Oh yeah,
That's
within
it.
1 week of you.
They
following
went out of
prices
business
and
because of it.
business.
Did they really?
Yeah, they closed.
Come on.
Yeah, they
You don't
They
know?
closed all their stores this week.
I've
Yeah.
been in a stupor the last week.
Yeah.
So they announced that they're closing. Was it 24? Whatever.
Yep.
How many?
They closed
24
already.
stores?
Yeah, the 24th.
Crazy.
And no
So-
more online business?
Nothing. Fry is fried. It's
so
gone.
something
It's
interesting is they do PC repairs like Staples or Best Buy. So there's a whole bunch of people that have their computers locked up inside these stores.
Oh, so it was
And
bankruptcy.
It's no, it's not even bankruptcy. They
closed.
just they shut everything down.
Yep.
Like it was it Monday or Tuesday, or they just wham, everything was closed.
Yeah, they said they're going out of business.
So
But that
Yeah.
does only bankruptcy protects you from liability. You can't just do that. They're going to be sued. I mean, they're going to be.
well, they probably will be sued. Now they're going to give their people their stuff back. But you have to send an email. It's just imagine if you're like a business person, right? You
Yeah.
bring your computer in and it's got all your stuff on it, and now I'd break into the damn store if I needed it. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, if that's stuff-
Yeah, if you're a business owner and you're a CPA or something and you've got your computer there, I'd break into the damn store.
You know what?
Get my
If
stuff
you're a
back.
C-
It's
if you're a
ridiculous.
CPA and rely on your computer and took it to Fry's, That's problem number one.
Well, there's a lot of small single entity CPAs that work on single computers, no backups. Believe me.
Oh no, I
So,
understand. I just that
Yeah.
having been to the actual retail stores and the way that they sell, it's kind of like going to IKEA for computers and other stuff. What was always amazing about Fry's, I used to go to the original store in Santa Clara, and you go in and you'd walk down the aisle, and there's all the soldering stuff on one side of the aisle, and on the other side it's all potato chips and snacks. And you go down another aisle, and it would be all the PC cases, and then there would be all the geek shirts, and it was a weird place.
Now this has obviously been in the works, because I remember seeing pictures and whatnot over the past year or two of pretty much barren shelves inside of Fry's, like just everything, like whatever those little hangers are that you slide those little plastic carts onto, just gone. I mean, they had nothing in stock for at least the last year.
Wow.
Yeah, they closed all their stores on the 24th, which was last Wednesday. So she gone.
The newer ones were actually very nice stores.
They blame COVID, of
Yeah.
course, which is
yeah, well.
nonsense. I mean, they've been floundering around like a fish for at least a couple of years. But so that leaves what? That leaves Micro Center as the last
Holdout,
realistic retailer, beside not including Best Buy or Best Buy or any office stores. That leaves Micro Center. I don't believe there's any other stores left. No big stores.
What about Crazy Eddie? Remember Crazy Eddie, Amnon?
No,
You don't remember Crazy Eddie?
no.
Crazy Eddie Anwar. He was a guy out of New York City that ran a television and eventually computers, like an electronics store. He's in prison now because it was all a scam for years.
Out of his trunk?
Yeah, no, but I mean, he had retail stores.
Oh.
Crazy Eddie, he's crazy. I mean, it wasn't a parody. He was the original one. He didn't actually make the commercials. He had somebody do it for him. But he tried to escape. He was Israeli. He tried to escape back to Israel, but they extradited him back to the United States. And he's in prison now for fraud.
So Micro Center's got 25 stores. The closest one to us would be
Atlanta.
Duluth, Georgia, which I think is Atlanta. Yeah. No, Fairfax, Virginia. That's not.
Oh,
Fairfax, Virginia is only like 5 hours from me. It's probably about 3 from you.
And there's one outside of Philly in Churchill, Virginia, Churchill, Pennsylvania. I know that one.
Yeah, Maryland, Michigan, Ohio. Yeah. So that's it. One, and by the way, Micro Center is doing very well. At least from they're putting on a good public perception. They're doing a lot of advertising on YouTube. Their big push now is they do a PC building service. So if you go into Micro Center and you buy your parts at Micro Center, they will actually build your computer for you with same day turnaround, which is cool. So they're the only ones left, and they only have 25 locations, similar to Micro Center, or Fry's, which I believe had 30 or something.
I bought a lot of stuff from Micro Center, even though there was not one close by over the years. But especially, like you said, their own brand built PCs. You go in and just buy them right off the floor.
Yeah,
and good deals.
So
yeah, and if anybody is blaming it or saying the only thing is left is Best Buy, not so fast. Best Buy said it laid off 5,000 workers this month.
Wow.
Well, that makes sense. You know why?
And it's planning to close more stores this year as more consumers buy electronics online.
They're preparing for the minimum wage hike. 100%. It's the only reason you would lay off 5,000 employees. They're not closing 30 stores. They're laying off employees because the minimum wage is going to go up. There's no question about it. And it's going to affect people like Best Buy, 100%. And Best Buy, by the way, I don't know when the last time you were in a Best Buy, they have a crap ton of employees on the floor.
Yep.
They've got 3 or 4 people standing at the front, like people are grabbing TVs and running out. I mean, I don't know why they have so much damn security at Best Buy, but they've got all these people up front. They've got at least 3 or 4 people in the customer service area, 2 or 3 cashiers. Then they've got people back in the Apple section, the TV section, the phone section. They've got the home theater, and they got guys over in the appliance. I mean, there's probably at any point 20, if not 25 employees on the floor on a Best Buy. That's a lot of employees.
They've gone through this before. They did it a number of years ago. They laid off like all their technical staff and started from scratch again because they wanted to get people for less money. It was a big deal because they laid off.
The articles later on says that it's due to having too many full-time and not enough part-time employees.
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't have to give. It's a different. It comes from a different line item on
healthcare.
On the
full-time employees you have to pay healthcare and benefits for. Part-time you don't. You can keep up.
But this is nothing new for them. They did this before. They did this before. They whacked all.
This is typical. Target does this. Walmart. I mean, these massive retailers do this. I mean, it's this is. But I'm not surprised. You will see more of this from other retailers as the minimum wage thing continues to work down the pipeline. They will not be the only store because it is going to severely affect stores like Best Buy and TJ Maxx and Marshalls and the hobby stores and Walmart and Target. It is going to significantly affect those stores. So you'll see that.
And the unintended consequences they don't realize is you have people who are making $15 an hour or more who took 5 or 6 years to get there.
Yeah.
When somebody else starts making the same money, what are you talking about? It took me 7 years to get here. And you're going to pay them the same thing and they don't know anything? So it's just so much about it that's bad.
So, yeah, that sucks. I've always thought about this. I wonder if there's one little computer store here, not one little, but there's a computer store here in Wilmington that seems to do pretty well. It's called Island Computer. And they sell, it's expensive stuff, but they sell, DB9 connectors, DB25 connector. I mean, it's a little storefront. They sell a whole bunch of things that you would not be able to find anywhere but online, and you pay a premium for it. But let's say you need a RS-232 to USB connector today, that's your only choice. You'll spend $25 on it, but if you need it today, you'll be there. And every time I go in there, there's always people in there.
That's what Tiger Direct used to be. It's what CompUSA used to be.
Mm-hmm. There were a few
Egghead computers used to be.
Back when you needed that stuff.
Yeah, you did. And I frequently went there when I needed something like that.
But it's so hard to
specific adapters.
Gene says, right, Nick, plus Amazon competition is killing them. It is. Amazon competition is tough, but depending on where you live, and I'm not going to speak to Raleigh because you guys are in a different scenario than I'm in. It's going to take at least if I order something today, it will not probably be here before Wednesday. Now, I know in areas like Raleigh and big metroplexes, I guarantee you if Spence needed something today, you probably could get it. You probably could get something dropped at your door by 9:00 tonight, depending on where you're buying it from. You can't do that here.
Yeah.
Now, eventually you will be able to, but for the time being, if I'm, servicing a piece of equipment and I need a DB9 or DB25 adapter, I'm going to have to buy it locally and I'm going to have to pay a premium for it. And that's how I guess these stores thrive and stay in business.
I have a kit, Nick, with all those adapters if you need it.
Well, there you go.
I used to put together for new employees. New engineers. I put together a serial adapter kit because every box we had a different serial connection.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'd have a DB9, DB, and it would be whatever. It would be a proprietary. It would be something. So we'd have to put together a kit. And I go to remember Stay Online?
Yep.
They still exist, I believe.
Yeah, well,
as a they used to have a retail store. It's great. Anybody that ran a data center, that's where you went. And you could buy the weirdest stuff in there, but they had it. And then they scaled down, then they moved to a warehouse, and they had a few things you could go in and buy, but most of it's online business. But weird connectors, just all kinds of crazy stuff. If you needed not a SATA cable, a SCSI cable, you go there, and they'd have it.
You come here. You come here. I'll make you one.
You're gonna make one for me?
Yeah. I've got the cable. I've got the connector.
You ever use a SCSI cable, Nick?
No, I don't believe I've ever touched anything SCSI.
Yeah, that's what all the first CD drives was SCSI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe. Well, is SCSI the ribbon cable?
Yeah.
Well, it can be.
Okay.
They do make a D shell.
All right, then maybe I had.
Also,
but
it all depends on the interface. If the ribbon cable was better,
it is 50
internal.
pin.
Usually use a ribbon cable inside a box, but if you wanted to go outside to a peripheral, you'd use a D shell.
I still think, and I could be wrong, and I probably am wrong. I've known to be wrong from time to time. I still think there is a need for some sort of hobbyist store in medium to large cities. I'm not saying it's a full store. Like, I don't necessarily think they're, the problem, you look at people say, oh, bring back Radio Shack, but look at what Radio Shack was at the end. It was smartphones, crappy RC controlled helicopters and cars, and a bunch of other bullshit. They weren't really selling electronics towards the end. They were selling, they were 3/4 of the store was cell phones. I mean, that's what they sold.
And they used to have one cabinet with drawers in it. You go in and might be able to buy a resistor or something.
So let's not, and that's the only Best Buy that's the only Radio Shack I ever knew due to my age. So let's not kid ourselves that Radio Shack towards the end was some hobby, wasn't a hobby town. But I still think there is some need for something like that in these markets, and I hoped Best Buy would take that over and
take a corner, like
a cabinet, just one of those big rolling toolbox things with drawers that was just loaded up with capacitors and resist. Because it's not just the computer community. I mean, you look at the amateur radio community, you look at the growing use of Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, and people that want to tinker with things. Look at those little 8-volt alligator clips that you use for testing things. I mean, you just can't get that stuff.
Nick, you need to just get a specifically fitted out step van that you drive around and say parts delivered on site. You pay a fortune for it, but you can get it delivered to your door.
That's actually an interesting idea. Load up like an old ice cream truck or something. And or get a short bus. There you go.
Yeah.
There's
plenty of minibus. You can buy them online. You can find them on.
What would we call it?
Nick's
Misfits Computers.
No.
Short bus.
Nick Snacks.
Nick Snacks. Hey.
I don't think that would play very well.
I mean, look, Snap-on is doing it. Mac Tools is doing it.
Yeah, but to be fair, the stuff that Snap-on and Mac sells, you don't buy. Snap-on tools are not inexpensive.
No, that's what I mean. It's all real expensive.
But what are you going to do? Sell somebody you're going to charge somebody $2 for a resistor that's 6 cents?
Well,
that's what you have to do. That's the thing.
True.
You look for, and that's the issue with this stuff is if you go to Mauser or DigiKey and go to buy, a push button.
Yeah.
38 cents. Now you can buy, and by the way, the one place where you can get some of this stuff is Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly's, and the other Advanced AutoZone and O'Reilly's. They do sell, and they're for cars, but they're expensive, but you can get push buttons and single pole little switches. Also, Ace Hardware is pretty good with that too. The Ace Hardware neighborhood stores, I don't know if they've got those everywhere, but the Ace neighborhood that's near me has got some of that more like little push buttons and those little those little black project boxes that you mount stuff in and drill your little hole out. But it's not, the stock is normally limited, but again, there's no margin on it. How are you going to make any money selling a $3 switch?
Well,
it sucks, man, because we're only drifting further and further away from people becoming tinkerers. I mean, the reason Spence, you, and Amnon are probably tinker as much as you do is because that stuff was available and you could tinker. I can't tinker.
Amnon,
what am I going to tinker with?
What are you talking about, Nick? What are you talking about?
What am I going to buy? You can buy stuff off Amazon.
Let him tell you. Let Gal tell you.
you
No, you
can't.
can get anything. Come on. Amazon is
You can get
still
anything. I agree.
even on
But you have to
Amazon you
know
can get
what you
it
want.
cheaper.
But you have
On
to know
Amazon you
what
can
you
even get
want.
it cheaper because you
You
can
can.
buy sets of things that are way cheaper than what you can get on the local one. So
You can.
it's not like it's completely wiped out. It's just different. That's all.
Yeah,
You're
but
talking about it as if it's gone. No, it's a lot more available to anyone, even somebody who doesn't have a store 5 miles away. Come on.
I think it's more available if you know what you want. Yes, I will agree with you. But if my idea of you, for example, you went into like I remember when I was little, my grandfather would bring me to the hobby store. You walk in there, you see all the cool things in there, you pick something up off the shelf. I couldn't go online and find what I wanted.
Yeah, but
I
today there's
didn't
this
know.
hobby store called YouTube, right? And you go in and you,
Okay.
whoa.
Yeah, that's a
bunch
valid
of
point.
videos.
Okay. Maybe I'm more.
Come
Maybe I'm
on.
being too doom and gloom. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
well, there's
It's
one.
just
There's
different. That's all.
but Gal, there's one. There's one situation that a local store will make it so you will finish a job. I mean, when you tinker, when you build something, and you say, "Oh, but I need this socket, or I need this switch, or I need that, and I can't go farther without it." If you could get in your car and go 10 minutes and come back with the switch, you could. Now you have to wait a day
The
or
only thing
two.
you, but the only
That's
thing
the
you're
problem.
describing, the only thing you're describing as a difference here is just that it's no longer available 1 minute away.
Correct.
But also,
Correct.
you're also forgetting, right, that that store, the reason it got closed
Is
right,
because
because there was no foot traffic anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like it makes sense the way it is today, and it's not gone.
Yeah.
It's different. That's all. So you need to be a better planner. So we
Yeah,
get
but you
less
can't-
scrappy hobbyists.
But
No
tinker a lot of the coolest part about tinkering and the best part about being and I'm not one of these, but these people describe themselves as makers. A lot of it is not planning. A lot of it is sitting down and saying, all right, for example, I'm doing a garden this spring. I've got an Arduino here. I want to turn my Arduino into some sort of automatic water system thing. There will be some planning in that, but a lot of it is going to be connecting things and seeing what happens and trying to make it work. And if every single time you hit a roadblock, you got to wait 3 days, because yes, you can get some stuff on Amazon, but a lot of stuff's coming from Mouser or DigiKey, and you're going to wait 6 or 7 days for that stuff to come up, and you realize, oh, God damn it, it's the wrong thing.
We did
So
used to
now
use
your
the
project
post-
your project takes 17 days to complete, and you're like, screw it, I'll just buy a completed unit at Home Depot and call it a day. And I'd make the argument it's better experience.
What
it
is this?
Kind of a history repeats itself thing, because we did go through various stages of this back when you think about the expansion of the West in the 1800s. How did people get stuff?
Railroad.
The store was 50 miles away. They ordered stuff and it got delivered. It took months, but they got the Sears catalog. They ordered what they needed. It came. I waited for my, buggy whip or whatever it is I ordered. This picture I have up here, Amnon, do you remember this place, Radio Row?
No, I'm trying to figure out what.
Lower Manhattan, down where the World Trade Center was, had an area that was all electronic surplus shops. Started out with World War II surplus, and it was there for years. It was there when I was working there in the late 70s, early 80s. It still existed. It was getting smaller and smaller every day. Eventually, you could go to maybe Canal Street or something like that and walk in. Uncle Steve's was one place where you walked in. It was floor to ceiling electronics, but old stuff. You could get radio stuff, radio gear, Nick, you would cry over. You couldn't believe this excellent war surplus stuff. And these places are gone, but it was just, this is where you went. Oh, I need to get some components. You went down there, you bought your vacuum tubes, sockets,
Lafayette.
soldering supplies, wire. Yeah. Lafayette Radio Electronics was an offshoot of World War II. And Radio Shack, the term came from, Radio Shack was like on a ship or on the place where the radio operator was. These were World War II radio veterans that started this stuff. Very cool. But Radio Row downtown if my friend Charlie is listening, he was a guy, he would go down there and he would build radio. He would just build anything, buy components and just build stuff. It was so cool.
Maybe you're right, Carl. Maybe.
But I think
You're right. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
No, I mean, there is a sense of nostalgia to these places, right? Because it was a different experience than what we have today, completely. And that experience is gone, and I'm not arguing in it. But I'm not saying it's worse or better. It's just different. We just need to deal with it differently. That's all. And
the thing that these stores are looking at is business. And if electronics and parts are not selling, but cell phones do sell, that's what they're going to go for. And if
But it
you
also
look,
has to do with margins. I mean, that's what it is.
yeah,
at the
no,
end of the day.
absolutely. I mean, it's money. It's whatever.
Yeah.
It's so if you look at Radio Shack, when I came here, that was 73, 74, and 75. Radio Shack was selling a lot of stereos, a lot of CB radios, besides the other stuff. Yeah. But that's what was up front. Then they went into computers because they had computers, and computers was the big thing. So they started selling computers. And then cell phones came about. So they start selling. So they were doing whatever they can in order to make the most out of that little space that they had in stores and in malls and whatever. You can't blame them for being, like saying, oh, look, it's just RC airplanes and things like that. No, because that's what people wanted. And the Proudy people went in and said, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And they said, no. They said, okay, you know what? People are asking. Let's get it and let's start selling it because that's going to help us stay on our feet. But nothing is like having to say, I need that resistor. You're stuck. Yeah, I need that capacitor. You're stuck. And I'm not talking about Wilmington, Nick. I'm talking about Raleigh. It's just, and look, computer parts today, I have no idea what they have over at Office Depot and Office Max and all these places as far as
Nothing.
parts.
Best Buy is your only place for parts. The Best Buy does sell motherboards, CPUs, RAM.
Okay,
It's a very limited
it was
supply,
a big,
but they do sell stuff.
It was a big deal, especially in our area. I remember, and if Gary is listening to us, I remember if there was a thunderstorm, the thing that will get her affected and burned right off the bat are the serial ports, because they have wires strung out of them on long distance. I remember after every lightning, a couple hours later, Gary would call and say, Amnon, I need 19 RS-232 cards. I need 2 video cards. I need, stuff like that. And they were cheap, and you could go get them and fix them. I mean, I still have some of those things here. Network cards. 10100. I'll never, these will never sell. But
I wonder if there will be a change, because I think you are seeing Gal, and maybe you've got a son that's younger and in that age range, but I do think that the Raspberry Pis and the Arduinos
will bring it back.
Well, not necessarily bring it back, but if there is more demand for tinkering, I mean, maybe there is a possibility for something.
There is a difference. So there's a lot of tinkering going on. It's a lot more high level. It's a lot more software based, right? But it's still happening. You still get, so if you follow anything on something like Instagram or whatever, right? And there's like channels upon channels upon channels of just of it's called hacking today, right? Or the different projects, hacking projects, and you see amazing stuff. And because everything electronically today has minimized in size, I'm talking about what you can put on your own, not what a company like Samsung can create, right? I'm talking about what you can do in your home office, and the projects are amazing, right? And yes, it isn't going away. It's just different. It's specialized. It's I don't think tinkering is going away. I do think less. I don't even, you know what? I don't even know if less people are doing it. I there might be more people doing it because of communities that are only available online, right? So somebody who discovers something randomly out of social media, and he's never been exposed to it, a kid, I don't know, 15 year old kid that has zero electronic people around him, but discovers this interest online, right? He suddenly is plugged into a huge storm of information and how tos, and the data that, for me as a hobbyist, as a kid, right, I would need to work enormously hard to get, just so I could understand how to, how to fit two things together. What is a capacitor? What to do with it? How to weld, right?
You mean
Today,
solder?
you don't
Solder.
even need your father to teach you that, because he might not know it, right? But you can still go online and you can learn this thing.
It's definitely morphed because you see,
Yeah.
like you said, Gal, the hobby now, like I have a Russian-made motorcycle sidecar, right? Parts are hard to find. There are a few places in the US that stock it, but very hard to find. I can order them directly from the Ukraine, but the
Right.
shipping is more than the part.
Yeah,
But I can get it.
That's the reality of living in
Yeah.
Israel, right? Because everything was in the US. So I wanted to buy a $10 book. I needed to pay $25 for shipping, right? It's like, yeah, that's
But
the new reality, but it exists.
I think
That's the
I
thing.
think it's morphing. I think it's just changing to where I think it's like history repeats itself. You'll go through waves of renaissance again where people will discover these things to do. Like during COVID, people were looking for things to do at home, and the stores were sold out. Hobby stores were sold out of things for people to make stuff because they were just
Right at the
working.
beginning, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't get anything.
yeah, crafts
And
and stuff for kids, yeah.
still shortages on certain, like
Yeah.
yarn. My
Paper
daughter
towel. I mean, toilet paper.
yes.
Yeah, but
But
that
I
was
just-
that was a different reason altogether.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
that had nothing to
still-
do with tinkering.
Well,
No,
it
it had nothing to do with shitting either. So it's
yeah. Oh, yeah. But people were reminded, hey, there are other things you can do that are satisfying. And a lot of people have rediscovered hobbies that they forgot about.
yeah.
So I over the weekend, I have, like I said, about that motorcycle, right? Very, very, very simple. There's not much electronics on this thing at all. It's built to withstand EMP, right?
Right.
I had a flat tire, and I'd been changing the tires out over time because there came the original tires from this thing. I go to take the wheel off, and I'm take the tire out, and I find that the spokes are loose on the one wheel. I said, "How the hell am I going to adjust the spokes?" Go online. There's YouTube videos. There's documents. There's pages with pictures. Here's the procedure, step by step,
Right.
how to do this.
Right.
So it's so amazing.
Hell, you can
Yeah.
even find the manufacturer's guide, right?
It's in Russian,
Yes,
though. That's the only problem.
Yours is in Russian, that's true. But you can even find that, right? And that's the thing. It's like the availability is just, it's mind blowing. So yes, I get all of the nostalgia about what's being lost, but
But-
we're definitely not in a worse position. We're in
But
a
if-
different one.
If you could find a niche, like Nick was saying, but here, if you could, it would be hard to do because you really have to do the market study and business plan and all that of some one thing that's so like, that you could stock a few things that you knew that people wanted right away locally. It would be successful, but
Yeah.
you would have to really know what people wanted.
Yeah.
So
Right. And the fact that something like that exists is completely awesome, right? So I'm not dishing it in any way, shape, or form, but I'm saying, yes, we're very fortunate if we have a local store with knowledgeable people, somebody who cares. But there is a high chance that most of their business is going to be online anyway. They're going to ship through an Amazon or whatever, and most of their customers are not the people who are going to step in, but the online business is what pays for that to even exist, right? And they'll probably have a YouTube channel or something. They'll become a subject matter expert, right? Just by choosing to be the subject matter expert, and they happen to be geographically local to you. So, I mean, I'm still blown away by the idea that we're a bunch of guys sitting around. We're approximately around the Raleigh area, right? And we got people listening in from all over, right? And nobody's going to knock on our door and visit us and say hello or try to buy anything from us. So I think that's the difference, right? It's like the change has created just this new story. And yes, the old story went away, or it's a lot less prevalent, but it's still there.
I have a business opportunity for you guys if you want to invest in. It's going to be a wing nut delivery service. We have all sizes of wing nuts, whatever, metric, English, chrome, brass, whatever. You tell me, and I'll pull up in the van. Here you go. But I have to charge like $50 each.
I will say one other thing. Another place that is useful for some things, if you can find it, is a local refrigeration store where the HVAC guys go to replace get air conditioner parts. You can get capacitors and relays and things.
Ferguson is that store locally here, and they will not let you buy parts unless you're licensed.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't say. There are places that will sell, because I have found one place that will sell relays and stuff. But I went in to buy an air conditioner relay one time. They would not sell it to me.
Yeah, there's a couple places down here that do. So that's another. Yeah. Now, normally it's larger pieces, like larger caps. You're not going to find a little capacitor in there, but you can find larger capacitors and transformers and things in HVAC for fridges and refrigeration repair stores.
I know a guy called me up one time. He said, one of my customers says, "Do you have gauges for R22?" No, I have R12 and 134, but I don't have ones for why. He says, "Well, I bought a 50-pound bottle of R22 and I want to recharge my air conditioners." I said, "How did you buy that? You have to have an EPA license." He says, "I got an EPA license." "How?" "Filled out a form." And, really? Yeah, I bought it.
I like that.
I got it on eBay. I was like, really? The stuff that's supposed to be tightly controlled. But yeah, he wanted me to recharge the system for us. If I had the gauges, I could help you, but I don't have the gauges.
Yeah.
You know what? But think about it. It is exciting times because of the stuff that can happen. I'm nostalgic for the way it used to be because it was fun. Remember going, if I had a new CB radio, I go down to the local place, the guy come out to the car, he'd hook up the SWR meter, we tune the finals in the CB radio. That's your best output. And that was done. It was fun. Where can you go to do that today?
Yeah, not only that, you meet people in person, right?
Exactly.
It's like I completely agree that there is joy in the old way, right? It's just the fact that it's no longer the norm. I say it's not a terrible thing. It's just the way it is. We can't control it anyway. So
there is one place locally that I can still do that in, and it's called Norfolk Wire and Communications, and they sell communications wiring, but they also sell home entertainment stuff like mounting brackets and you name it, and network gear and plugs and connectors. And you go in there and there are guys hanging out in that place who are buying stuff because that's what they do. So we talk about network stuff, or we talk about, the latest thing in mounting televisions, and because this is what they do. And you walk in the store, oh, this is so cool. They have some stuff in stock on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just that was fun. I recently did that because I did a job where I put in some Cat 6E drops, and I needed cable and connectors and stuff. So it was like, wow, this is like it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Spence, you ready for specials?
I am
Oh,
ready.
all right.
So today we're having a special. It is we have now lines. We'll give out the number at the end of the show for our off the grid living consultants to call you. So we can have, if you want to get set up off the grid, we'll help you. Right? Think we'll get any takers?
First, they need to disconnect from the radio show.
No, and it's got to be. It's on the grid, off the grid. I find if you watch these off the grid shows, like building off the grid kind of thing, it's so funny. I want to be completely self-sufficient. Well, no, you can't, because you're wearing clothes that come from a store. You're buying a pot that's made by a manufacturer. If you want to make your own silverware and your own clothes and all that, that's great. You're not off the grid. I mean, you could be off the grid, but you're not self-sufficient. Neither were the people that were in the Old West. I mean, they bought the Conestoga wagon. They had the mom's, hutch from the house in Philadelphia, and they rode out west, and they threw it out when it got too heavy. And it was they still bought stuff. They didn't make their own pots, kind of. Maybe some people did, but anyway. I love this picture I found of the disaster home here that somebody has a solar panel sitting out in front of. It's a real picture it's from Europe. There's a community of people in France that are living like this. And I found a site that talked about them. So pretty interesting. But our highly paid consultants are available to help you with your off the grid design. It is possible. Okay.
Can be reached online, right?
We pull up in a van and we do an on-site consultation. we have a phone number. That's it. No web page. Nothing.
No telehelp.
No telehelp. No. But you can get us on the bulletin board. You can submit a question on the bulletin board.
Carrier pigeons, right?
That's it. Did anybody watch the movie Aeronauts? It was a recent movie about a meteorologist that went up to like 33,000 feet in a balloon and survived in the 18-something. And it was like the first real person to study meteorology and all this stuff. They were using carrier pigeons to send their data back in case they didn't make it back. And as they were going through their whole thing, all the pigeons froze. It was so cold, the pigeons froze to death. They couldn't. They tried. I picked up this bird's dead. It was sad. Okay. So starting with Staples, we do have a couple of in-store deals, and you should be careful when you go. You roll over the item, and you won't know it's an in-store only until you roll over it, and it will have a little pop-up on the bottom say in-store only. But actually, here we go. You can go and buy it in the store. So they have it. They're stocking it. You don't have to order it and have it sent. Couple of good deals on some laptops. I got an Asus i5 15.6-inch laptop. This is a 12 gig of memory, 256 SSD, $120 off of $479. Got a Lenovo IdeaPad 3, which is an i3 15.6, 8 gig of memory, 256 SSD for $369. That's $160 off. Lenovo has the stock again. Everything was out of stock, but they've got the stock coming in again. And the prices reflect. I got a Lenovo Idea Center 5. This is a i3 8 gig 256 SSD desktop for $499, which is $100 off. This is something new. I'd never seen this before. Asus makes what they call an eye care monitor, which the way it's supposed to work is it's got a special flicker-free or undetectable flickering that would help you with fatigue. And they also limit the blue light, like you can have night mode on your phone, where you would have, or night shift. And so this is something new, and it's not expensive. It's a 23.8 inch LCD monitor, and it's 109, which is $10 off. But if you spend a lot of time in front of a screen, I actually have some blue blocker glasses that I can wear. If I don't spend that much time in front of the screen anymore, but when I did, it would help with eye fatigue. At the end of the day, like your eyes are watering or whatever. So it's interesting now. I wonder if this works really well. Something new. Okay, got the Roku streaming stick on sale for $39, $10 off. Apple second generation AirPods for $129, which is $30 off. Got a good deal on Seagate Barracuda 500 gig solid state drive for $59.99, 10 off. Now, this is kind of an odd size. It's a Seagate One Touch external USB 3 hard drive, 5 terabytes. So maybe this is a 6 that didn't pass quality control. I don't know. I'm not sure. But 5 terabytes for $127, which is $7 off the regular price.
This is a 2.5 inch, right?
Yes.
Not-
Yep.
yeah.
2.5. 2.5.
So it's all from the
portable.
USB. You don't need a power supply or anything.
I believe that's true. Seagate One Touch is the small USB powered. That's why it was so weird. 5 terabytes. It just seemed odd.
I think I've seen these in Costco actually.
Yeah. Oh man, sometimes Costco deals. You can't. I bought the 6 or 8 terabyte Seagate basic backup drive.
Yeah, I
don't
think
remember
eight.
what I paid.
I
It
think
was
they
a
were
great
selling
price.
the 8 a while.
Yeah,
a while
it was
ago.
really cheap. And if anybody who's interested in a 600 VA battery backup from CyberPower, it's still $44 at Costco regular price.
Wow.
That's really, I've actually replaced for some customers. I bought one myself when I needed another one, and you just can't beat that price, everyday price. If you're looking for a utility AC dual band router, inexpensive, they've got a Netgear. It's not on sale, but $59. If you're adding one to part of your house where you have a wired cable going, or if you have, it's not the latest, but it will certainly work better than an N router. Some people still have N's out there. Or if you're dabbling, you want to play around with something, whatever, or you want to put it out in your garage. I don't know.
Tinkering.
That's it. Tinkering. $59. It's still hard to find good deals on printers. The sales are coming back. So far, Brother's still not on sale. Not a lot of stocking. But here is a good deal on a mono laser. This is from Canon and image class. It's the MF264DW Duplex Wireless printer scanner fax copier for $149, which is $50 off the regular price. This is a small business class duty cycle laser printer. I've got the Logitech MK710. This is a high-end wireless mouse and keyboard combo, $69.99. Another thing, Logitech, you don't see a lot of sales, but good quality stuff. This is the, what's the technology called, Gal, with the Logitech has their
unifying controller.
Unify. That's it. Yeah, Unify. So it works with that Unify system, so you can add other devices and configure them and so on.
I think they no longer produce anything that is not
Unify. Yeah, I ran into that because somebody gave me a keyboard that had no.
In the past they had, but it's like rare. It's so
they got this keyboard and they lost the transceiver. So I had an old one. I brought it. I thought, well, maybe this will work. It didn't. So I couldn't get it to work. And to buy one, it was just too expensive.
Yeah, you need to buy a new keyboard.
It was cheaper to buy a new keyboard. Yeah. It was too bad because it was a really slick keyboard. All kinds of programmable crap on it. So Epson ES200 Duplex Mobile Color Document Scanner. Handy little device. I have the mono. It's color, but I have the simplex one that scans one side. But $189, $30 off. Tax season is here. If your accountant is requiring that you submit documents by PDF or whatever, you can't drop them off. If you don't have a sheet fed scanner is great. A one that's got a paper handling capability, like a fax machine where you can put in 30 sheets at a time. I just finished submitting my taxes and I had to go through and scan in like 99% of my documents that I had to submit had to be submitted as PDFs. And I used my brother, a printer scanner fax copier that had the sheet feeder. But 189, it's a good printer. I love the two-sided duplex color scanning. All right, that's at Staples. At Office Depot, Office Max, we've got an HP 15.6-inch Ryzen 3 entry level. Well, Ryzen 3 still, I mean, I wouldn't call it an entry level. It's a step above. Laptop, 1 terabyte hard drive, 8 gig of memory for $369, which is $70 off. Got a HP Ryzen 7, 16 gig of memory, 256 solid state, 15.6-inch screen, $599, which is $110 off. We've got a HP AMD Ryzen 5 desktop, 8 gig, 256 solid state drive for $399, which is $100 off. And we've got a Dell all-in-one. This is a 23.8-inch screen, Core i3 8 gig, 256 solid state for $529, which is $120 off. So we got some decent sales on PCs now, starting to show up. This next device it's not cheap, but it could be what solves your problem. This is a 2-monitor stand, dual monitor stand for 2 monitors from 19 to 27 inches side by side, desktop stand. In my office, I have a wooden stand I built that has 2 regular monitors sitting on it, which is great because I can use the space underneath. And my other desk, I actually have it mounted to the wall. But if you can get a bracket like this that can hold 2 monitors, it's got the Visa plates on it to attach. It's $159, which is $18 off the regular price. There are cheaper things out there, gooseneck ones or articulated ones in different types. But this is a Dell product, so you know it's going to be a good quality. This next one is just something. It's $44.99 for a 10-pack of USB 2.0 8 gig flash drives. It's kind of like you have a bin that you throw the stuff into because when you need one, you want to create an install disk for Windows, for example, with the latest version. You just take that out, you throw it in. It's $4.49 a drive when you buy the 10-pack. If you can, come up with the $44.99 and you want to just have this in. I do this all the time when I build a recovery flash drive for a customer when I do an install. I might save an image, or I might have an install, or I might use this for backup or whatever, and I just leave it with them. So it's for $5 a piece. It's a good price. Okay, trying to find an inexpensive inkjet printer is still difficult. HP has some out there, and I'm really not a fan of some of the smaller HP stuff. But Canon Pixma TR8520 inkjet multifunction printer for $149, save $50. So this is, I would say it's like an entry-level business class inkjet printer at this price, and it does have a sheet feeder, which is nice. Something else that a lot of us take for granted now is that most laptops do not have a spinning optical disc. And there are times when you need to load software. I have accountants that have to have, when they build a new machine, they have to have every version of QuickBooks from 2010 going for 2010, 11, 12, 13, and they have to load this stuff. And sometimes it's available online, or they may have the discs. So this is a good thing to have for $34.99. It's a CD and DVD burner, USB connected for $34.99, which is $5 off. And finally, if you're going to go into that home business where you're going to be printing labels and doing inventory, this is an interesting device. Dymo Label Maker 450 twin label printer. So it's actually got 2 rolls of printing material that you can print side by side. So you can print an address label and print a barcode at the same time. And it works with you can actually print actual valid USPS postage using this. 71 labels a minute is pretty fast, and it works directly from a lot of programs, Word, Outlook. I think they listed a bunch of other stuff it works with too, but just to print, it's got the templates to print right to it from address lists and so on without any trouble. $139, and that's $80 off regular price. If you need it, you need it. Okay, and finally, going to Best Buy. Again, struggling with Best Buy's advertising model. I realize that they're just not investing a lot of time into the webpage. It can be confusing at times when you're shopping for something. I used to love their old format so much better, but I'm sure it took time for them to arrange it that way. But you can find things a little harder. But all right, they've got a Asus 17.3-inch Ryzen 7 laptop with 12 gig of memory, 512 SSD, $599, which is $200 off the regular price. They've got an APC 1500 VA battery backup from APC, $179, which is $28 off. Is that a good price, Amnon, you think?
Yes. Or you can buy it cheaper like on Amazon and on eBay, but it's a very good one. I have one of those. It's great.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But this is in the store, so if you want to go get it, you can go get it. So, Lenovo 24-inch IPS LED FreeSync monitor, HDMI, VGA, connectivity, $129, and that's $60 off. We've got a Wemo smart plug for $19.99, was $5 off. I have several different versions of this, and I have the Amazon smart plug. I have a couple of different kinds. I find they're really handy. And what I like about them is even in my garage, I have extra LED lighting now that's controlled by a Amazon smart plug. And the nice part about it is there's an activation button on the side. So I have this hooked up to a power strip that has cords going out to these LED lights that light the front of my garage. When the door is closed, that's the area that doesn't get a lot of light from the ceiling. So I have this, I just press the button. I don't have to use a smartphone. I can, but I don't have to. So I just use this as a little, soft switch to turn the stuff on and off. Handy to have.
Mm-hmm.
Got a Linksys AC 2200 tri-band. It says mesh. Now, I don't know what they're meshing with. Maybe another router, similar router, but $139 for this router, Wi-Fi 5. It's not Wi-Fi 6, but so AC standard, saves $60. And finally, Amnon, this is for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Bella high power juice extractor.
What is it extracting from? Never mind. Keep going.
You pour in juice, and it produces an apple for you. You have to put juice and pulp in there, and it will make an apple for you. That's really cool. Reverse engineering, but $29, save $40. Some people are into juicing. I mean, it's a healthy thing to do. To help control blood pressure, people who have CDLs, commercial driver's licenses, you have to get a DOT medical. And when you do, your blood pressure has to be below a certain number in order for it's no exceptions. I mean, if it's not, it's got to be 140 or less, or less than 140. And for some of us who are what they call white coat challenged, you have to come up with a way. I don't like using medication, but there are ways to do it. And I found a guy online, drives a truck, who is very large, has to pass his blood pressure thing, uses juicers to create these cocktails of beverages and supplements that help bring down your blood pressure naturally, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't buy a juicer to do this. I bought the juice, but it actually did work.
Can you juice a ham?
You can. Ham juice. It's very good.
Only if it's kosher.
Yes, if you use newspaper too, it's a lot of good bulk.
It does it extract the fake news?
It does. Yes, that's an extra. You have to. Yeah, it's an extra feature. It's a little more expensive.
So it just destroys the whole thing. Okay,
that's it. It comes out blank. Yes,
thanks, Spence.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. All right. Let's see what we have here. Guy or anybody, what do you know about Amazon Sidewalk feature? Anybody?
Sidewalk?
Okay. So I'll read it. Amazon new Sidewalk feature, which slices off a small portion of your Wi-Fi bandwidth to power a larger network for Bluetooth and 9 megahertz radio frequencies, won't start operating until later this year. But in the Alexa app, the feature has been automatically switched on for Alexa users. The problem is not everybody will want to participate in Sidewalk. Sure, it's a cool idea. Users of the new Amazon Echo, Ring Spotlight Cam, and Ring Floodlight Cam will see increased range for their smart home devices, so they can be farther from your router and other gear, but still maintain a reliable connection. Plus, Sidewalk works with other Amazon users, so everyone in your neighborhood can contribute to that larger network, meaning in theory, your device could be blocks away from your home and still function. So it's sort of like they are creating an extender, access points all over the neighborhood, so you can connect to your device from blocks away.
So, you know what? Track, I think it was its name, and Tile. Know those products? They're like small fobs,
Yeah.
Bluetooth powered, where you attach it. You put one in your wallet. You put something in your, jacket, and it's connected via LTE Bluetooth,
Mm-hmm.
right? LET, I think, low
LT
energy something.
Anyway.
Yeah. And the whole idea is that those phones, that when you install the app, it creates a mesh network to locate these Bluetooth devices. So even if I'm a Tile subscriber, I have the app. I use it to track, I don't know, jacket. But if I walk around in a mall, for example, right, and somebody else's wallet with a Tile is over there, he can track his own wallet through this network of stuff. This sounds a very similar thing to that. And I think they bought one of these companies a while back. So maybe that's just evolution of that.
But anyway,
switching that on by default.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing it up is because there are instructions how to turn it off.
Yeah.
And the way you turn it off is through the Alexa app. You open it, you tap more in the lower right-hand corner of the app. You tap settings. Then you tap account settings. Then you'll see the Amazon Sidewalk. So you tap that and switch Sidewalk off.
I mean,
I did it right
I'm not
away.
too concerned about it, right?
I tell you
I
why.
see the benefit.
I tell you
But
why you should be
still-
concerned about it is, first of all, they are taking away a little bit of your bandwidth, meaning they are on your router somehow.
They're already there. They're already. I mean,
And no,
the
wait.
bandwidth taken by this is like negligible. That's the thing.
Well,
Even if you have a dial-up, but it's negligible. Okay, it's like it's not negligible.
Yes, I understand. But the thing is, again, tell me a
My
situation.
problem is different. My problem is exploits, right? You need to
Well,
know
I
what's
mean,
on.
how long before this will be exploited to the point that, hey, I can just get that app and I can get into their network? I don't know. We don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. And tell
Yeah,
me,
but let's not. So, Amnon, let's not fear what we don't know. Let's explain what we do know.
well, that's.
I mean, let's look at things that we don't know and look into them instead of just automatically fearing them. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing that they activated it.
Right.
I understand the concern, right?
Yeah.
But there's also need to, instead of creating like panic around this, right? It's also important to understand what is exactly enabled and what's exactly open. Should they have done it? I don't know.
I mean, if
I don't know even if they should have asked, because they can push a notification through Alexa, right?
True.
And then Alexa can ask you, hey, would you want to enable this new feature? I don't know if that'll work either, right? I understand why they did it. Don't like it. Is it a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, it feels, it's how do they call it? Dark patterns.
It's
in
weird.
web dark patterns. It's when you have the yes I agree button
Yeah.
really large, and the no as a small text with a line
Yeah.
under it, right?
Yeah.
That's dark patterns. So yeah, it's hacky. Yeah.
Well, I would, especially since it's not operational, there's no reason for it to be on. It's under development, it's under this. Why leave your thing? Anyway, that's the way I feel. The next thing that I saw some articles about this week and wanted to bring up has to do with streaming. And that has to do with the volume level. Apparently, when you're streaming and you're getting stuff from different sources, you can switch to one source and the volume will just blare. And other ones, it'll be too soft, so you raise it. And all kind of things like that. And there were explanations about different systems and how you go in, and they call it audio leveling. That you can, it's almost like a automatic gain, but it's actually automatic reduce.
Like volume normalization.
Like normalization. Do you see that? I mean, you're playing a lot with different sources. Did you ever notice?
Of course. Yeah, I'm just not like you. I'm not zapping through live content. For me, I'm always playing episodes.
So they were talking about the Roku, that you can go into the system and do that. But they were saying that actually on the Roku, when you click the auto leveling, and it took it from 46 dB to 54 dB, which was the opposite of what they were talking about. And on the Amazon stick, the Fire Stick, it actually took it from 50 some down to 40 some. And it worked. But I didn't know if there was such a thing. I looked on Plex. I couldn't find anywhere that had anything like this. Did I miss it, or did you ever come across something like that?
No, I think they have it only in the music section where you have playing music. Yeah, they don't have it for the TV and movie content.
So if anybody is interested in setting this, you can just look for what they call audio leveling, and they have different instructions for different devices. I happen to see the Roku one and remember it because that's what we have. But if you have the Fire Stick, if you have the whichever. There are instructions for it, how to level the audio so it will not disturb. You know, they're talking about, you know, you have a home and kids are sleeping and you go somewhere and suddenly, bam, you know, it blares. You don't want that. Oh. All right, let's see.
Volume down before flipping.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that easier said than done.
Yeah, I know.
There's something about Zoom here that's interesting also. In the first peer-reviewed article that systematically deconstructs Zoom fatigue from a psychological perspective, published in the journal Technology, Mind and Behavior on February 23rd, Professor Jeremy Bailenson, founding director of the Stanford Virtual Human Interaction Lab, has taken the medium apart and assessed Zoom on its individual technical aspects. He has identified 4 consequences of prolonged video chats that he says contribute to the feeling commonly known as Zoom fatigue. Now, here's 4 primary reasons why video chats fatigue humans, according to the study. The number 1 is excessive amounts of close-up eye contact is highly intense. Number 2 is seeing yourself during video chats constantly in real time is fatiguing. Number 3, video chats dramatically reduce our usual mobility, obviously. And number 4 is the cognitive load is much higher in video chats. Just go and Google on Zoom fatigue, and you'll probably find these. And they have all kind of information about how to reduce that fatigue. I don't use Zoom that much, but in the last year, people have been using it almost 8 hours a day. And I guess that's what brings the fatigue. But you should be able to reduce it or fix it. I mean, you know, you don't have to see yourself in Zoom. That's one thing that I would do right away is hide self. Okay, I don't see me. So, fine. So that there's one thing that seeing yourself during video chats constantly in real time is fatiguing. Yep, you take that down. So if it's the 4 top things, you reduce your fatigue by a bunch. So read about this and see what you can do. If you're using Zoom for a few hours every day on regular basis, you should look into it. All right. Anybody else? Hello? Hello?
We talked about LastPass last week.
Yes.
And where is that? I just read it from my phone because that's where I have it. So one thing you sent me, which was becoming more prevalent on the news because people are talking about LastPass making changes to the free tier.
Right.
There were a few articles about, you know, how you can migrate from LastPass to others.
Right.
And I'm not going to go into that, but
there's a worse thing.
Almost any password manager, including KeePass, has the ability of importing and exporting to a format that is available for other password managers.
Right.
But the more interesting one was one of the bad, how should I say it?
Bad things.
Bad things about specifically LastPass. A security researcher came out with information about the tracking logic identified in LastPass. Probably because of the change, it pulled some attention also from security researchers looking into it. And you would think that a privacy-oriented tool as a password manager would be really concerned about your privacy. And the security researcher specifically mentioned that LastPass has 7 different tracking cookies and is tracking your activity on your browser because it's installed as a browser extension. So there's Apps Flyer, Google Analytics, Google Crash Analytics, Google Firebase Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Mixpanel, and something called Segment. All of these trackers are inside the application, and it's not like as if you have an option to disable them. And that is something to note. Now, one thing to note, it is not a unique occurrence. A lot of the extensions you install on as add-ons to the browser have trackers in them. Most of them are put there to better analyze crash behavior, and improve performance. They are truly gathered as, anonymous data, and it's all, there's always some good involved in putting them in there in the first place. The problem starts when there's no control and when you have some concerns about the specific tracking logic used inside. The reason I'm mentioning it is if everybody remembered the SolarWinds hack a couple of months ago, right? SolarWinds specifically is not a tracking mechanism. It's more of a monitoring infrastructure that companies put inside their networks. But this is a similar idea, and you want to be able as a customer, as a client side of the application, you want to be able to control of what type of flow of data goes through your lines, basically. Right? And so very important to note. One of the reasons, right, you should use something like KeePass that is completely self-sufficient, completely stands on your machine, and you need to take care of the tracking, which is a hassle. I agree, but sometimes it's worth that hassle. And the other one is Bitwarden, which I use, which you can self-host completely. So you need a host name. You need to be familiar with domain names, Let's Encrypt, and reverse proxies in order to set it up. So if you pass that technical hurdle of knowing how to host a service, definitely go with Bitwarden. It's a great option. You can also use the free hosted version of Bitwarden. That will be much more useful than the free version of LastPass, for example. Or you could use KeePass, and all of these are valid, very good options. And the nice thing about Bitwarden's clients is they're open source. So the discussion about tracking and all of that will always be part of that community. And you can always, if you have a problem with it and you don't know even how to code, you can open an issue and state that this needs to be something that you need to control over, and usually you'll get a response, either a positive or a negative one, but it's open. It's not something that is suddenly discovered that, after a lot of people are using it. So that's my take on that.
All right.
So what's this about this Windows 10 drive corruption bug? Did you?
Another one?
Oh, it said that if you accessed a certain path, even with low-level users, you go in and it says that path is corrupted and will offer you to repair the drive. And when you repair the drive, the machine bricks. So they're supposedly we're going to have I was reading about it on Bleeping Computer here, but it was just says that they expected a patch to be included in the February patches, but it didn't come. So, but they said that you can. There is a patch out there, but you can't access it. It's not in the preview of the next edition. But what happens is that apparently when you put this particular path statement in, that it's inaccessible and will say that the drive is corrupted. And then it will go click here to fix the drive, and then the drive doesn't get fixed.
I haven't heard about it. What do you mean path? Where do you put that path?
Oh, the patch would have come in a Windows update.
No, I thought you said, patch or path?
Patch.
Oh.
No, well, I'm sorry, but the thing is, here's how it goes. It says that the Windows 10 bug allows any users, including those with low privileges, to mark an NTFS volume as dirty. All the Windows user had to do was trigger the bug was to try to access a special path, and it shows the path. Okay,
but here, that's the question. I mean, in order to do all this, you really have to know what you're doing.
Yes.
So so users of Windows 10, what do they have to do in order to, quote unquote, brick the machine?
Well, they would have to try to let me see what the path is.
Okay, so it must not be a path that you would normally.
No, you would never think to do this on your
own without
having been told.
Okay.
But the point is that you could maliciously go into somebody's machine,
and do
access this path, and invoke this bug, which will then
backups
activate a drive repair, and that will not work. So
another reason
some of these things happen. These are so obscure,
right,
that by talking about them, they make it worse.
So but if somebody knows that they're going to get fired in the office, they could go to different machines and do it.
Yes,
I understand. And why aren't they patching it? That's ridiculous. But they can do what
and
they
that's
want.
the criticism, is they said that they were surprised that there is it didn't come out in the February patch Tuesday, which they thought it might. But and Firefox actually, if you have Firefox 85.01, it said it prevented people from going to that path. I guess they knew it was there, and they said it was an OSR released an unofficial.
Oh, so you had to enter it as a URL?
No, you could. I mean, you can enter a file path in your browser.
All right.
It will go there, but it might not see anything. It might just give you a list of files. But they said that it's Windows 10 Insider came out, Insider build, but it wasn't included. But there was something included in the Insider Dev channel, developers channel. But I just saw this and I was wondering how serious it was, and I read it. I said, I don't think it's that serious. But
yeah, there's probably a lot of them that we don't know about.
Oh,
better not know. Better not know. To a point. Anyway.
That's like the bug that takes, what was it? The Office Space, the movie. You remember that, Amnon? She's just 20 years ago, isn't it now? Office Space.
The one with the cents that it.
Yes, they took every transaction that was a partial cent. They made a partial cent.
Yes.
And they thought they'd make a little money, and they made millions.
Yeah.
All
right.
You want me to talk about my encounter with Spectrum?
Absolutely.
Now, I'm still a Spectrum user. And those of you who know that I went to I dropped my Spectrum TV. I don't no longer have that service. So on January 25th, I took my equipment down to UPS store, got a receipt for it, and it was shipped to Spectrum, which has the date of the UPS statement says they received it on the 26th, the next day.
Mhm.
So I've been waiting. I talked to the people at the Spectrum store where they can't help. Spectrum stores now are mobile stuff, really. They're not there for cable people. They said, just take it there. They'll see it and they'll take the stuff off your account. It actually says on the receipt, it could take up to 10 days, but they will remove the gear from your account. So we're waiting to see our new bill because by the way, you pay in advance
Mhm.
for Spectrum and they do not prorate.
Right.
They said at the customer service, oh, we no longer do that. I said, well, that's a marvelous customer retention feature you have. Because I'm still a internet customer.
So you did
So-
not see that.
There
taken
was
off.
no credit. There was nothing. It was a regular bill, the same amount. And I said, I'm going, I said, this is crazy. What's going on here? So I called him, the first guy I speak to, and I got a little snarky, but I apologized. I said, look, I have a receipt to say that you got this equipment on this date. Well, you're supposed to call and cancel too. Well, why do I have to do that if I have no equipment and the service is off? Oh, you have to do that. Well, we don't prorate. So I was 2 days into the new billing cycle and I would have to pay the entire month, which was around $140 I would have to pay. So
So
I said,
triggering a return of equipment and take it down there and do this with that was not enough as a cancellation.
so they wanted you to call and cancel the service.
Yeah.
So I argued, I can't. I said, switch me to a manager. So I
Yeah,
switched to a
that's,
very nice lady
Mhm.
in the department. And she says, oh, well, and they did adjust it. I have to say, they did adjust it. They went back and they gave me prorated from the day the equipment arrived.
Mhm.
So I actually have a negative
Yeah.
bill. So, but it took a lot of doing. But to keep me as a customer, this is what was just so insane.
Yeah.
They said, oh, we'll give you our mobile service for $14 a month. per
Right.
phone.
Yep. Oh, and they're going to keep
$14. But-
on sending you all kind of offers.
And it's like, well, first of all, I don't have the service anymore. And that was, I don't know if that was just to stay on internet or to get the TV service back. I said, well, how long is that for? Well, that's the offer. It doesn't change. I said, well, what are you talking about? I said, why it's supposed to be $45 a month. Well, not every person you speak to is going to give you the same offer, but you have to do it now, right? If you
Yeah.
call back, we may not give it to you again. I was
Yeah.
like, no. I said, thank you, but I have AT&T bringing fiber into the neighborhood. I'm probably not going to be around that much longer anyway. So it was like, why? It's just we don't prorate. But you
Well-
prorate. My daughter, when she signed up, she got her cable, and your billing cycle doesn't start the day you start the service. The billing cycle starts when they want it to be. So they prorated her for a couple of weeks up to the billing cycle date for when she turned the service on. But if you turn it off, you have to pay, even if you don't have the equipment, to the end of the billing cycle. So there it is. That's the office space conundrum, right? They got you. They're going to get that extra money out of you. And
Well, let me tell you, I mean,
Amazing.
I did the same thing, right? I canceled TV.
yes,
I still have the box and the remote on
Really?
on the shelf. They're not charging me for it.
I've never talked about my Spectrum problem.
Okay.
go for it.
This is an interesting one. So I moved back in July, and I moved here, and I got AT&T. So I returned all my Spectrum equipment. All my equipment. I returned my modem.
Mhm.
They don't have any record of it that I returned it. So, and they keep calling me to try to collect the $60 for the modem, and I keep telling them the same damn thing. So they're going to send me to collections, and I'm not paying because I
You're
already returned
talking
my
about
goddamn equipment.
Spectrum modem or AT&T modem?
Spectrum modem.
Okay.
So when I moved in July, I moved from Spectrum, and then I originally had AT&T here. So I returned just that black Spectrum modem, the big old Spectrum modem. They have no record of it. I went to the Spectrum store and returned it.
So you never got an email back that said
No, I dropped it off at the store. It's got a MAC address. It's got a serial number. I mean, and they keep going, sir, you have equipment that you haven't returned. We're going to send this to collections. I said, go for it. I'm not paying for it. Send it to collections all you want. I don't give a shit. What do you do? Ding my credit score?
Besides, there's nothing you can do with it.
The point is I can't prove that I returned it. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Take a selfie of me inside the store? Hey, here's me returning my equipment. I mean, what am I going to do?
That may not be a bad idea for some of the people that are listening.
That's not going to matter. What are you going to? How are you going to get it to them? You're going to mail it off in the.
They usually give a receipt. No,
they did not give me any.
No, they don't.
And the problem was I had already canceled the service and then returned it. So I don't know if it got, but yeah, they're going to send me to collections over it.
See, that even reinforces my thinking of, hey, don't return it. If you return it, something will happen. So
it's
don't return it. Just ignore it.
I might as well have stolen it because they think I stole their modem. I'm like, what do you think I did? Threw it up sold it out of my trunk. Hey, I got an unactivated Spectrum modem that you can't do anything with.
Right.
Because the account it's on is no longer active.
Yeah. Yep. You're right. Yeah, that is ridiculous.
Oh, it's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah. Well, they don't know what they're doing.
Bastards.
They're overwhelmed with people that are canceling.
I mean, AT&T sucks too, so let me be fair. AT&T is awful.
Yeah.
Sorry, Spence. No offense to you.
Talking about AT&T.
I hope you have a better experience than I did. I really do.
Oh,
because it's a fantastic service.
I got confirmation today that they did give me the prorated.
No, I mean for your AT&T service.
Oh, I hope that locally the people that have it are okay. It's available in neighborhoods nearby. It's our neighborhood is the last one to get it in this development, but other people that have it seem to be happy with it. So
excellent.
Remember, I was telling you that we're running fiber on our side of the street a few weeks ago.
No, I didn't.
They were burying.
Actually, when I was up there, I saw that there was a fiber truck on the corner, a big spool.
Yeah. So they finished, and the front of our driver, right by the street, had a bunch of all color lines where they were detecting cables in the ground, I guess. And that went away and everything. I think it was last Thursday, I went out to get the mail and I see some trucks. And I'm looking on the driveway and there's a whole lot more lines, more than what they were before. And they were pulling fiber or the conduit at this point, I guess, on the other side of the street. The next day, they were again digging up on our side. And man, I'm telling you, I was amazed. These guys can dig a hole like maybe 3 by 3 or something where they can just fall into and do something almost 5 feet deep in no time by hand. We're not talking machines, by hand with a shovel. And you see them going down.
Why are they doing it by hand?
He's
got all this equipment.
No earthly idea.
What a waste of time.
They were digging.
They're doing it by hand when there are definitely in areas where there are definitely other lines or they're unsure.
Okay,
because there's a lot more control.
Yeah,
I actually worked in that job when I was 16 for 2 days until I was just incapacitated.
Wow, 2 days. What an employee. 2 days.
No, I was a slob as I was today, and got this was my first summer job for a long time, right? And at the age of 16, I got somebody in the family knew this contractor who did this in Israel. Cable companies started putting cables underneath. I joined them for 2 days. After 2 days, I couldn't get out of bed from the pain. So
my leg.
Yeah, I mean it's just amazing, and they're digging it like looks like 30 or 40 feet, So there's about 4 or 5 guys just doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's got to be another company because it's on the other side of the street now. I mean, they were working.
We have a weird vendor that's doing it in our neighborhood that I've never. It's,
Yeah, it's a
it's
contract.
from,
It's a
like
contract.
Texas.
It's a
They're from
contractor.
Texas or something. Are they using the Checkup machine?
The who?
Is that the
Yeah.
big? That's the big?
No, it's not
It's the
big.
thing they drive
Yeah,
the cables.
yeah, those are cool
underground.
machines.
It's very little.
It just goes.
Yeah.
It's like a big. It's like a sewing machine.
They have
almost.
they force it through.
Yep.
They can steer it so it comes
Yeah.
up in the next hole. And
Kathy was
they have a
saying, she said,
compressor, air
I'm
compressor on
hearing
it.
some machine running and I'm looking outside
Yep.
through the
That's just
window
the
and I
dryer.
don't see any trucks or anything. I said, no, I don't think so. I mean, these guys are just digging. But when I went outside, you could hear it, puck, 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 and it on every.
yeah, that's it. It's some kind of pneumatic hammer.
Oh,
So
it's interesting.
I wanted to
Hey.
I wanted to ask a question about, has anybody tried, Alan mentioned Streamium
What is that?
as
Streamium.
an aggregator. Streamium. It's only works on Android apparently, but it's an app.
Oh, I
Which
see
you
that.
can put it on the Fire Stick. So I'm going to try it. But apparently it says you can load, once you get there, you can load Streamium, Spectrum. And even if you don't have cable, you might be able to watch some Spectrum channels.
Huh.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, I did a search on Streamium and I got something called Streamio, which is not the same thing. But I found Streamium and it does say you can put it on your Fire Stick. Interesting.
Now you'll be stealing cable.
No, I haven't done it yet. I just
Have you
was
seen
wondering.
the on the
I don't have to steal it. I
on
pay
the
that.
fiber optic
Yeah.
trucks or on the fiber optic spools? They have big things that says there's no copper. They have them down here. Yeah,
Really?
down
Oh,
here.
like
a tape?
It's like a big.
Oh, wow.
It's like a big sticker on it. It says
Yeah.
not copper. Because so, and
Huh.
it's not copper. I mean,
There
there's
were-
nothing they
there
could do
were,
with the fiber, but it's still funny.
There was a whole gang that was stealing copper cable from rural areas on strung telephone wires.
Yep.
And power lines. They would come along and they'd basically use these bucket trucks. They'd go up and they'd cut the cables and they'd pull it all off and steal it and go sell it for, and just take like hundreds of yards of cable, steal it, the power would go off. And by the time they'd be out of there before the utility company came by and all the copper would be gone.
I think now most, if not all, of the places that accept that copper have to like
Yes.
notate
Yeah, they
where
do.
it, like you have to give them some. You can't just show up to
You
Jimmy's
can't. Yeah, that's true.
Copper and More and just drop a whole truckload off and then give you cash. It's like a whole thing now.
Yeah, they should have
I
done
should
that to
dump it
begin
into a
with.
shipping container and send it to China.
Well, now that you, especially down here on the coast, you could do that. It's fun. Sometimes
Yeah.
people do it. They'll go to radio towers and they'll steal the copper that's used for the grounding because it's really thick copper. And either sometimes you can kill yourself if you are grabbing hot AM wire.
It's a good thing they don't use copper for guy wires.
No, well, thank God. Well, yeah, because those things. Are,
You cut all the guy
well,
wires.
you wouldn't even be able to cut those. I mean, those guy wires are so highly taut. There's no way. I mean, you'd have to have a. I don't. You'd have to have a jaws of life to cut a guy wire.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no copper. I'll see. I think it's over by my house. I think I have to run out to the store today. I'll see if I can snap a picture of it. I just thought it was hilarious. They had it on the big roll of fiber.
My first house was had been an abandoned HUD home, and it was a homestead program. So when we got the house, all the exposed copper plumbing in the house was gone. You went to the basement, and all the plumbing was in the basement, and you saw the copper was cut off at the level of the floor above. There was no copper; everything was gone. Somebody stole it.
all right. Listen to this. Kind of funny a little bit. iRobot, maker of the robotic Roomba vacuums, has confirmed that a software update has been causing issues for some users of its i7 and S9 robots, and that it's working on another one to prevent future issues. The catch, it may be a bit before things get sorted out. With iRobot expecting the update to roll out over the next several weeks. According to users on Reddit and Twitter, the recent 3.12.8 firmware has been causing navigation issues. One user described the robot cleaner as acting drunk after the update, spinning itself around and bumping into furniture, cleaning in strange patterns, getting stuck in an empty area, and not being able to make it home to the dock. What's more, some other users are reporting that the environment maps that their Roombas made were wiped out by the update. So here you go. You have something that you programmed and you put in the house and it goes by itself and does whatever. Then it goes all over the place. That I mean, that's okay for a little robot, but can you imagine that can happen to a Tesla? It can happen to any
It shouldn't.
it
but
shouldn't,
can.
absolutely shouldn't, but
Can they hack the vacuums and have them blow backwards?
that it can do that too.
Run the fan backwards and just blow dust all over the place?
Yeah. What are you doing? I'm dusting.
That's it.
Now, WhatsApp again. WhatsApp users who do not accept its updated terms and conditions by 15 May will be unable to receive or send messages until they do so. So if you can't send or receive messages, it's because you did not accept it. Now remember,
Don't worry, Amnon. They won't have any option because that's the only thing they'll see. They'll need to do. They'll need to click accept, or if they do not accept, they cannot enter the app. That's what that means.
Their accounts will be listed as inactive, and inactive accounts can be deleted after 120 days. Calls and notification will still function for a short while, but TechCrunch, this is coming from TechCrunch, probably only a few weeks. Now they already announced it, so that's okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing that was supposed to happen mid-February.
Right. And you will see that now there's going to be another surge of people going to Signal or any of the other ones until something happens there also. And another story I have here is Google. That's interesting. Google said Tuesday that it's ensuring that password security straddles both your phone, PC, and Chromebook. The company is bringing Password Checkup, a feature it introduced to Chrome in 2019, to Android. Password Checkup simply ensures that a password you either pick or are currently using hasn't been exposed in a password breach. Every year or so, password files at major sites are breached and leaked to the web. Knowing if your password has been stolen or compromised is a significant part of maintaining your online security. So that's good that they're doing that. I don't know if you're going to have to download something, install something, or is it going to be an automatic thing? But that's good. I had a customer call Friday that I haven't spoken with in years and years. Hey, Spence, do you remember Jack DeQuano?
Yes.
Yeah. From Nortel. Yeah. He called. And he said, I need to change my password because I got a notice from Norton that my user ID, my email address and password have been broken and it was listed somewhere on the web. I said, okay. Now, I haven't spoken with Jack in I don't know how long. And I went to change the password. I'm trying to change the password. My system is telling me there is no such user. So I go and I manually look to see, and sure enough, there is no such user. And I remember that Ron and I kind of like deleted accounts when we moved from one to another servers that were not used in the last 3-4 months. it's obviously it's a free account that he's not using it anymore. I'd take it out. So I told him, he said, oh, okay, that's why I can't get in. I said, what were you doing with this? He said, nothing. But when I saw this, I came in to see if there's something there. I said, all right, Jack, do you want an account? He said, yeah, I want to use it as a backup. I said, okay. So I set up an account. But it's interesting that he got an email that said that his username and password were exposed on the web.
Well,
because
yeah.
his browser did it.
Yeah.
Cache.
I mean, it's years ago.
but even if it's not an active email address, it doesn't matter. It was still
Right.
used somewhere to
Right.
sign up for something.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Interesting.
What's stupid?
All right. It's that time again, unless you guys have something else to talk about.
Well, just to add to what your customer experienced.
Yeah.
There's a site, I think I'm sure I mentioned it before, called Have I Been Pawned?
Right.
Where you can test whether your email has been exposed in a breach.
Right.
And by the way, a lot of password managers, they're already hooked up to an API to test there as well. So you'll get notifications when it's important to replace passwords.
Mhm.
And for anyone who's concerned about whether to trust such a site or not, it's a one-man project.
Yep.
Operation, and he is a very highly regarded in the security industry. So this one is a site that definitely at this point, right, can be trusted, and I recommend using it.
And you're not compromising anything. All you put your email there to see if it
Yeah.
was. You don't need to put your password.
No.
So-
If you have a domain, by the way, he has a fantastic service there where you can register the domain and get an email when any of the emails within that domain get compromised in a new breach. So there's a process of proving ownership of the domain. And after that, you can get emails if said domain has emails that have been compromised. And so you can reach out to your end users. So very, very
Interesting.
effective tool.
Yes.
And they take donations. He takes donations. It's a nonprofit project. Excellent project.
All right. Anything else, Nick? Spence?
Negative.
No, sir.
All right. So thanks again, guys. Thanks, Spence, Nick,
Thank you.
Scott. Thank you very much. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Dina, Arlington, Micha, Eleanor. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together today. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Remember, we are on Roku also as Nissan Communications. Tonight at 7, Nick does his Against the Norm show at atnshow.com. And if you're in Wilmington, you can hear it on 106.7 FM. And on and on Tuesday, Nick does his Infection podcast, which is for survival games on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. Listen to those two. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.